Hello, I'm Tom Santos and I'm part of the General Mills Doughminator team. This team's dedicated to solving and providing insights to your dough questions. Welcome to Lesson 7 of the Flour Detective, an overview of preferments. This lesson I'll be joined by another General Mills Doughminator, my friend Kurt Wagner.
Hi everybody, I'm Chef Kurt. I am part of the Doughminator team as well as the culinary team here at General Mills.
People ask, what is a preferment dough? Now I'm going to get a little dough geeky here, but bear with me. A preferment dough is a dough starter made several hours to several days ahead. It is then added to the remaining ingredients to produce the final dough. You might call this a dough within a dough. A preferment can be very loose, like a pouliche, or much tighter in structure, like a biga. Both pouliche and biga break down the starches in a more complete fashion. This tends to make the final product easier to digest. Both improve the handling properties and provide extendability to the dough. Today we will also discuss autolyse. Autolyse is a method of hydrating the dough for a varying amount of time. Autolyse also provides improved handling properties and provides extendability. Here's some interesting insights. Autolyse. This method hydrates dough to the maximum capacity by pausing the mixing process. This halt of mixing allows the enzymes within the flour to help gluten develop and create a stronger dough. Enzymes also break down during this period, relaxing the dough before the final mixing. With pouliche and biga, though made differently, both add flavor notes to the final product through enzymatic activity. Pouliche is more hydrated than biga, and both increase the extendability of the dough. Biga has a longer fermentation time than pouliche, usually 2 to 3 days before use, while pouliche is normally an 8 to 16 hour ferment. I promised you that would be a little bit of the dough geekiness that we're going to talk about, and we're going to go in and start making some doughs on this video. I'm going to show you now how to do an autolyse. Autolyse can be done several ways. The first way is to just mix flour and water until it's incorporated, then let it rest 20 to 45 minutes. Another option is to add all the ingredients except oil and mix until incorporated and then let it rest 20 to 45 minutes. This is how you do an autolyse. Very important from earlier flour detective lessons, remember the water temperature is always important for a dough. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add water to the bowl. Now I'm going to add the salt and sugar, then the flour, I'll sprinkle all the yeast on the top of the flour. Now I'm going to mix it for about a minute on first speed. I'm not going to develop the dough. I'm mixing it just enough to make sure the water has hydrated the flour. The mixer's stopped. It's been about a minute. You could see what the dough looks like. Cover the bowl and let it rest for 20 to 45 minutes. This is the autolyse portion of the production. I'm back. We have let the autolyse continue for 45 minutes. Now I'm going to add oil to the mix. Now we're going to mix this for 7 to 9 minutes for a patent flour, 9 to 11 minutes for a high protein flour, the extra couple minutes because it's high protein, more gluten development. We'll be back with the finished product in about 10 minutes. Always remember the dough temperature should be between 74 and 78 degrees when the dough is completed. This is the finished dough after it's done. From here, you're going to let the dough rest for 15 minutes or so, then roll out your dough balls, place in a lightly oiled dough bin, cross-nest in the retarder, and then stack after 30 minutes as normal. A pouliche is a type of pre-fermentation that combines equal parts of water and flour along with yeast. The amount of yeast can vary depending on the desired amount of fermentation. A rule of thumb is the more water in the pouliche, the faster the development of the yeast. A good visual of a developed pouliche is when it is risen completely, then deflates just a little, leaving a slightly wrinkled look to it. I'm going to talk about how to make a pouliche. Remember from earlier flour detectives, proper water temperature is very important. To make the polish, I'm going to place water. We have already entered sugar, in this case honey, into the water. Sprinkle some yeast on top, flour and sugar. We're going to place that in a medium-sized bowl. Using a spatula or your hand, mix ingredients until completely combined. Just note the mix will be very loose. This is normal. Place the mixture in a plastic container, cover, let sit at room temperature for 14 to 16 hours. Please note that room temperature is between 70 and 80 degrees.
Okay, now we're going to make the final dough using the poulish. Make sure that that poulish has sat for at least 16 hours. So it has come up, it has risen up, and has started to deflate just a little bit. It will be ready to go. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to add our water to the bowl. Next, we will add the entire poulish to the bowl. We're going to either stir by hand or use a spatula to break up the poulish. Now we'll add the flour, the sugar, and salt, and sprinkle the yeast on top. Now let's go ahead and mix this for 30 to 45 seconds on first speed, just to incorporate. Finally, we're going to add the oil. Now let's go ahead and finish mixing this dough 7 to 9 minutes on second speed for patent flour, or 9 to 11 minutes for high protein flour. The dough temperature should be between 74 and 78 degrees when finished. Remove the dough from the mixer. Let the dough rest, covered for 15 minutes.
For the final pre-fermentation, I'm going to make a biga. Just remember, it's not as hydrated as the poulish. When you're making a biga, very important for the proper water temperature. We're going to take water, and we've already placed the sugar in the water. We're going to take yeast. Dissolve both. Then I'm going to add the flour. Just note that the water weight is only 50% of the flour weight, so the dough will be really stiff. Using your hands, we're going to gently mix the ingredients and create a very shaggy look to the product. Only mix until no flour is visible in the bowl. The mix will not look like a formed dough, but rather a very stringy looking product. Place the mixture in a container, cover. We're going to let it sit at room temperature for 1 hour, then move to the refrigerator and refrigerate it anywhere between 24 and 48 hours before making the final dough.
All right, now it's time to make the final biga dough. So remember, the biga is formed over a 48-hour rest period under refrigeration. This is where it's going to develop all its flavor. So the first thing we want to do, we want to add the water to the bowl. Next, we're going to break that biga up, and we're going to add that to the bowl as well. On top of that, we will add the salt, then the flour, remaining sugar, and then we'll sprinkle the yeast on top of the flour. Now we're going to mix this for 30 to 45 seconds just to get everything incorporated. Then we will add the oil. We're going to mix this on low speed just to get the oil incorporated. Then we're going to finish mixing this 7 to 9 minutes on second speed for patent flour, and or 9 to 11 minutes for high protein flour. Remember, the dough temperature should be between 74 and 78 degrees. We're then going to remove the dough from the mixer. We'll let that dough rest, covered for 15 minutes. Then, after 15 minutes, we're going to weigh out and form dough balls. We're going to place dough balls in a lightly oiled dough bin, cross-nest this in a retarder. After 30 minutes, we're going to stack as normal.
Remember, this is a basic introduction into the world of preferments. This type of dough process can encompass different styles and adjustments. For this lesson, we just wanted to give you an overview. In future Flower Detectives, we'll explore more options. If you have a question, please email myself or Kurt Wagner at the email on the bottom of the screen.
And thank you for your support of General Mills, the Doughminators, and the Flower Detective series.